8th graders, today we are applying the distributive property again, but we are also going to combine like terms afterwards. So first we're going to review combining like terms and distributing, and then we will get into some new information. So first, combining our like terms, these are the terms that have the same letters. So like 9C, like 9 carrots, and -4 carrots, +6C or 6 carrots. We're going to combine all of those like terms together. So 9 minus 4 would give us 5C, and 5 plus 6 more is going to give us 11C. Here we have just the number 11, and here we have the opposite of a negative, which would make a positive. So 11 plus 5 more, they're all positive, so it gives us a positive 16. We can't combine these together because one has a C and one doesn't. Find the area of the rectangle. Area is just base times height. So I'm going to just multiply our base, which is really 5 minus 6x, times our height, which is 4. We know it's multiplied. I'm going to put a multiplication symbol there. So you can either do this by drawing your box and filling in both of these here. I'm going to draw my box down here. Like we said, our classroom is 4, and our teacher is 4, and inside our classroom we have 5 and a -6x. So 4 times 5 multiplying, not 40. 4 times 5 is 20. And then 4 times -6, different signs. These don't get along, so it's going to be a negative. 6 times 4 is 24. And there's an x. So our answer is 20 minus 24x. You cannot combine these together because one has an x and one does not. If you wanted instead to write -24x plus 20, that would be the same thing. Down below, also a review of just distributing. Remember, whatever's inside our parentheses is our classroom. That goes on top, y plus 3. This is really a 1y. And then our teacher out front is 4y. It's one term together. It's not just the y, it's 4y. It's all multiplied. So 4 times 1 is 4. The reason why I put a little star here is because y times y, remember, y times y is the same as y to the power of 2 or y squared. So y times y is y squared. Then we have 4 times 3, which is a positive 12. And then there's multiplied by y. So our answer is 4y squared plus 12y. We cannot combine these together because one has the squared and one does not. Here's another one. This one again is tricky because there's 2 sets of parentheses. Well, this one has 2 terms inside, so I know there's 2 spots here, 1 spot here and 1 spot here for a number. I know that set of parentheses must go on the top then, x minus 7. And then this is just one term, -10, and we know it's multiplied because it's touching there. So that's our teacher. They're just standing in the back of the classroom. So this is a 1x. -10 times 1 is still -10, but it's multiplied by x. And then -10 times -7, 2 grumpy people, they get along. 10 times 7 is 70. So our answer is -10x plus 70. Next one here, I didn't draw the boxes for you. You're going to have to draw your box on your own. Our classroom on the top here is x plus 11. That's what's inside our parentheses. That's really 1x. And our teacher is a negative, but she's really hiding her he. It's really a -1. So we're multiplying 1 times -1. That gives us a -1 with the x. And then -1 times 11 is -11. We're not adding, we're multiplying. So our answer is -1x minus 11. Again, this one has a little star by it. Draw yourself your box so we can distribute. The 2 terms are the ones that are going to go on the top, that's in parentheses. 2 and a -n. And this is multiplied. This is really our whole teacher right here, an 8n. So multiplying 8 times 2 is 16, and there's an n there. And then 8 times, okay, this is really a negative 1n. 8 times negative 1 is negative 8. And again, n times n is really the same as n squared. So a negative 8n squared, because there's n's on both where we multiply. So we have 16n minus 8n squared. Now we're going to get to some new information over on slide 3. What we've done so far is this much. We're going to start with just looking at that information as well. Here's our classroom, 2x minus 10. And then here is our negative 4, our teacher out front. Notice we know the teacher is this negative 4 because it's touching the parentheses. This 5x is not touching. There's a plus sign between there. So this was our teacher giving candy to everybody in the classroom. But this 5x is not in the classroom. So it's like somebody standing out in the hall. They're just going to go out in the hall, this little dotted box area or the dashed box, plus 5x. They don't get anything. They go directly to the box. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. So we're multiplying here. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8, and there's an x. Negative 4 times negative 10, they get along, so it's going to be a positive. 4 times 10 is 40. So we're done with these numbers. We have negative 8x plus 40, but then we also have that plus 5x. Now everyone's satisfied. We have to combine our like terms. So all we did was distribute, and now we have this 5x we're going to add in here. So our like terms, we have a negative 8x and a positive 5x. Different signs, subtract, negative, positive. So 8 minus 5 is 3. There's more negatives, so negative 3x. And then this 40, there's nothing to combine it with, so just plus 40. That is your answer, negative 3x plus 40. Let's look at this next one the same. I always like to think, where's my classroom? Okay, here's my classroom. We have 4 minus 2x. But this 7x is not touching the parentheses. There's a minus sign here. So that minus, remember, is really our teacher hiding. That's a negative 1. So our teacher is really the negative 1. This 7x is just kind of sitting there. They're not getting the candy from the teacher. They go into this box. Whoop, right into the hall. This is a positive 7x, so I'm going to put a plus 7x there. And then we're multiplying. Negative 1 times 4 is negative 4. Negative 1 times negative 2 makes a positive 2, and there's an x. So I distributed. I have negative 4 plus 2x, and then plus 7x. All I did was bring all of these down. I'm done with those numbers now. And combine like terms if we can. I see we have 2x plus 7 more x. We have 7 plus 2 is 9x. And then this negative 4 you can't combine with anything. So just write it, minus 4. I always like to look at the letters first, then the numbers. It'll help you later on. Here's another one. Just take it one step at a time. Look just at your classroom first. 4x minus 13. And this one, again, our teacher is hiding. Our teacher is really that negative 1 right there. And then what do I do with that 5x? Well, that 5x isn't in our classroom. They're not getting candy. It's like the hall monitor. They're just chilling out in the hall. They have to just wait. So we have negative 1 times 4 is negative 4 with the x. Negative 1 times negative 13 multiplies to make a positive 13. So we have negative 4x plus 13 plus 5x. Well, like terms, we have more than one x here. We have negative 4x and a positive 5x. Different signs, subtract. 5 minus 4 is 1. So we have 1x and then plus 13. 1x plus 13. Here's another one. Look at just your parentheses first. Always your first step. See who's in your classroom. It's like the first thing you want to do when you come into school the first day. You want to see who's in your class. Well, we have 5t and a -6. Then you'll worry about your teacher. Who is your teacher? Your teacher is that -3. Or not, sorry, +3. Then our hall monitor is just our +17. Somebody's hanging out in the hall out here. They're not in our classroom to get the candy. So 3 times 5 is 15t. 3 times -6. 6 times 3 is 18, so -18. So we're done multiplying. Rewrite it. 15t minus 18 and a +17. This time there's only one t here. So we have 15t. There's nothing we can combine that with. But we do have more than one number that we can combine. -18 and +17. Different sign, subtract. 18 minus 17 is 1, but there's more negatives. So 15t minus 1. That is our lesson for today. Please be careful when you are looking at this extra person like our hall monitor out in the hall. If you have questions, please make sure to ask. Otherwise, your homework today is 2.5c, and there is a review on the back. You do have to do it to make sure that you're prepared for your test in the next couple days.